On June 9, 1912, George and May Moore, along with their 4 young children, gathered with 3 other members of their family for a weekly church social event in the town of Villisca, Iowa. This was a common occurrence for the close-knit clan, which also included May's brother and his wife, who lived with the Moores, plus their niece and nephew, who were visiting for the summer. But that night would be the last time any of them were seen alive. The following morning, the house sat silent, which was odd because little George Jr. always pounded on his sister's door around 7 a.m. ready for breakfast and play. When neighbor John McHenry walked by and didn't hear the usual sounds of laughter and activity, he assumed something was wrong. He knocked on the front door, but received no answer. He tried again about an hour later, and still no one answered. Suspicious and concerned, he let himself in through the back door and discovered a sight that would haunt him for the rest of his life. In the Moore's bedroom, George lay on his side, eyes staring blankly, his arm protectively slung around his wife, May. Their 2 children slept peacefully in the adjoining beds, their faces pale and lifeless. Down the hall, May's brother and his wife were sprawled across their bed in much the same way, their bodies twisted at unnatural angles. In the corner, the visiting niece and nephew lay face down in their beds, tiny pools of blood staining the white sheets beneath their heads. It was then that McHenry noticed something else, something that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Every mirror and window in the house was covered with a blanket or cloth, as if whoever had done this wanted to make sure nothing could see what they had done. Had the killer staged the scene? Why? McHenry rushed to call the sheriff, who quickly dispatched doctors to the house to officially pronounce the 8 victims dead. An investigation soon followed, but despite questioning numerous drifters and known criminals, authorities came up empty-handed. There were no signs of a break-in, and nothing appeared to be missing, making the motive unclear. And as weeks turned into months, the case went cold. But before we continue, make sure to check out the links in the description below for some great books and podcasts about this case. Now let's get back to the video. As eerie as it was to discover the bodies of 8 people brutally murdered in their beds, there were several other strange details about the crime scene that suggested this wasn't simply the work of a crazed killer, but rather something more sinister, something bordering on ritualistic. Whoever had done this had taken great pains to ensure that their handiwork would be clear for all to see. The first thing that struck investigators as odd was the position of the bodies. Each victim had been killed in their beds, many of them while lying on their sides, as if someone had stood over them and swung a heavy object repeatedly until their brains were bashed in. But why the particular position? Was it merely to ensure a clean kill, or was there something more to it? Could this have been done to dehumanize the victims, rendering them less than human in the killer's eyes? Then there were the covered mirrors. Every reflective surface in the house had been meticulously draped, as if the perpetrator didn't want their image to be reflected back at them. What were they hiding from? And why did they feel the need to cover the mirrors? One theory is that the killer believed their reflection was an evil spirit, or that looking into a mirror would allow the spirit to enter them. Some even believe that this was a form of witchcraft, possibly stemming from the killer's belief that by covering the mirrors, they were preventing their souls from escaping. But whatever the reason, this detail set the Moore murders apart from other brutal crimes of passion or robbery gone wrong. Another clue that pointed to a more calculated, sinister crime was the untouched food on the kitchen table. The killer had evidently prepared a meal, but apparently had second thoughts about eating. Did they plan to leave the house without cooking for themselves? Or was this offering left out for another purpose, perhaps to appease a dark entity? It was almost as if they had laid out a feast for something otherworldly. But what exactly did they hope to achieve? And finally, there was the placement of the murder weapon itself. A heavy axe was found resting on the doorstep of the Moore's bedroom, casually leaning against the wall, as if left there on purpose. But why? Perhaps the killer wanted the weapon to be easily accessible for anyone who followed. Maybe they intended to taunt the authorities or send a message to anyone who stumbled upon the grisly scene. Whatever the motive, these details made it clear that the Moore family had been targeted, not in a moment of madness, but in cold blood. Suspicion initially fell on a traveling preacher named Edward N. True, who had stayed at the Moore's house during his travels. True fit the profile of a violent drifter, and rumors swirled that he had confessed to the crime while on his way to Chicago. But when police searched his boarding house, they found he had already moved on. As far as they could tell, True had left town immediately after the murders and had not yet returned. While they never recovered his body, True was never charged and his whereabouts remain unknown. Other theories implicated drifters who had passed through town that week, but none of the leads panned out. Slowly, the case went from a manhunt to a cold case file, gathering dust in the sheriff's office. Today, the Moore family home stands abandoned, a haunting reminder of the brutal crime that shook the nation over a century ago. Visitors report hearing the echoes of children's laughter and footsteps, as well as seeing shadowy figures standing at the windows. Is it possible that the spirits of those lost are trapped within the walls, unable to find peace? Or are these stories mere fantasies, conjured up by an overactive imagination? While the true story of the Axemen of Villisca is terrifying enough, there are elements of it that add a layer of mystery and intrigue. If you think about it, there were some similarities between this crime and others committed around the same time, such as the 1911 Gooseman murders in Indiana, where an axe was also used to kill an entire family in their sleep. Could it be that there was a copycat killer striking fear into the hearts of families across the Midwest? For over a century, this question has lingered, keeping the memory of the Moore family and others like them alive in the annals of crime history. The so-called Axemen of Villisca may never be caught, but the legend of the Villisca Axe Murders will live on, serving as a cautionary tale for generations to come. But what do you think happened here? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. With each passing year, the Moore murders become more shrouded in mystery. Witnesses grow older or pass away, memories fade, and the trail goes colder. Yet the case remains one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in American history, leaving us to wonder who would do such a thing and why. The idyllic town of Villisca was never the same after that fateful night. The shadow of the murders hung over the community, turning neighbors into suspects and friends into foes. Whispers traveled through the wind, carrying tales of the brutality inside the Moore house. The happy memories of the family were overshadowed by questions that still linger today. Why were the mirrors covered? Why was the food left on the table? And why was the axe placed so deliberately near the bodies? These unanswered questions twist and turn like vines, reaching out to grasp at our imaginations. We try to piece together the puzzle, but the killer's motives remain as elusive as their identity. As the years go by, the details of the case become more fragile, like an old photograph left out in the sun too long. The faces blur, the edges fray, and the truth seems to slip through our fingers like sand. Time, once a healer, now feels like a thief, stealing precious evidence from our grasp. Yet even in the fading light of memory, the spirit of the Moore family endures. Their story serves as a beacon, reminding us of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows of our seemingly idyllic towns. In the quiet moments, when the wind whispers through the trees, we listen intently, hoping to catch the echo of their voices, seeking solace in their presence. But the legacy of the Moore family extends beyond the boundaries of Villisca. It touches each of us who ponder the depths of human cruelty and the fragility of life. Their fate is a stark reminder that behind closed doors, nightmares can unfold, shattering the illusion of safety and leaving us to confront the chilling reality that evil can dwell anywhere. More than a century after the horrifying events of June 9, 1912, the Moore House stands as a silent sentinel, guarding secrets that refuse to be unearthed. The Villisca Axe murders remain a haunting enigma, a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity. And as long as humanity grapples with the darkness within its soul, the legend of Villisca will serve as a cautionary tale, echoing through the corridors of time.